Hey, you guys, and welcome back. So, I wanted to share another dream with you all, and I wanted to share this one because there were some very interesting connections in with this dream and some of the things that I've been seeing here lately. And the weird thing about it is I keep seeing like celebrities and musicians and things like that in my dreams. But the funny part is I don't have a TV. So unless I'm in particular searching for something online and I run across something, some interview or something that they're in, I don't see these people on a regular basis or in current time. I have reference points from the past where I have seen them, but these are not people who I follow them, whose stuff I watch, who I'm particularly a fan of. So what I take that to mean is there's something about that particular person, their name, what they're wearing, what my reference point is for them from the past that my dream is trying to show me. So I'm going to tell you the dream, and then I'm going to tell you some interesting things concerning what I noticed about one particular person in this dream. Okay. And then at the end, I'm going to go over just some general things that I have been seeing. And if the Most High wills, then I may even repost some old dreams that I have had, particularly since we've had some new developments with Russia and what's going on with them moving certain things to Cuba. I had done a video, older video on here, kind of warning people to move away from Florida because I felt like something was going to be popping off there. And when I looked, I really didn't know that Cuba was that close to Florida. But even with that, the things that they're moving to Cuba is really not necessarily just Florida. Florida is just the closest place to it, but the whole East Coast. And there are some dreams that I've had from between the years of 2015 to 2018 that I had made on my old channel that I may repost. The audio is probably going to be horrible because I was using an older microphone back then and I was trying to figure out which one sounded the best. And so if the Most High wills, I may repost those dreams. Okay. And so there was a first part of the dream that I can't remember, but where it picks up, where I'm able to remember is I am standing in what looks like a cabin, some sort of cabin or something. And I remember seeing a table and a guy sitting at a table, but it was like a cabin where there were like 3 guys staying there or living there or something. And so all of a sudden, some guys come through the door and the door is like to the right of me. And so they come through the door. I'm not exactly sure. They're not wearing uniforms or anything like that I can see, but they take this one guy from the cabin. And so the other guys, they don't try to stop him because they have a plan to try to go and get him back. So they're just like kind of chilling out and not ruffling any feathers because I guess they don't want to get taken either. Right. And so the next part is where they are still there in the cabin. And I'm standing in the door, I'm looking out the door and it looks like at this point in time it's daylight outside. And it looks like they backed up this other building up to the house. And so it's almost like if you've seen those little tiny homes that they build on the trailer and how they, carry them around or drive them around. And so it looks like it's backing the home up to the door of this cabin. And so when you see the tiny home, it looks like it's like a entryway door into the tiny home. But when the guy goes and lifts up the door, I think he kind of like lifted it up or something like that. It was actually like a compartment to where almost like a hidden compartment, and they had all these weapons and pew-pews. Okay, I was trying to think of the YouTube approved word, the pew-pews. They had like this arsenal and it was like hidden in this hidden compartment. You know how like in these action movies, they have like this secret room to where they have their stash of weapons and things like that. That's kind of what it was. It was kind of like this secret compartment attached to the front or the back of this like home. And so what is interesting about the main man who I'm seeing in this scene and I had to look this up, but it's the actor, his name is Kurt Russell, okay? And it wasn't him in present day. He looked just like, when I saw him in the dream, I couldn't figure out where I knew that character from, because he was dressed up like one of his characters, kind of like in a white shirt and some pants, almost kind of like a Rambo sort of feel. And so that's what he looked like. He looked like that younger version of himself when he played in that movie. And when I went to go look it up, he looked like the character from like the poster of that movie, Big Trouble in Little China. And all I remember vague details. I remember the poster, the poster of it, because that's what he looked like on the front of the poster, is what he looked like in my dream. And the only thing I could remember was he was kind of playing like a Rambo type character, but he was fighting some aliens or some vampires or something in there. It was something weird going on. It was an action movie, but it was like a weird sci-fi component or something like that to it. And so the next part of the dream, because when I see him, he's just like standing there. That's the last scene that I saw, like in the cabin. And so the next scene of the dream, we're standing on what looks like a battlefield. And like this place is kind of like a little dark and dusky looking. But the environment and the building, there's a big building that's like behind me. And when I'm looking at it, it looks like a French style building. It looks like we are either somewhere in France or someplace that has a really strong French influence, kind of like, New Orleans or Louisiana or someplace like that. But the thing about it is, and I'm going to get into some of the details about Kurt Russell, his name, and about some of the other things or other people in the dream in just a minute. But when I'm there, I see a lady that I know. And what's so interesting is this lady, when I met her, for some reason, even though she's of Hispanic descent and she has a Spanish accent, or that's what she said, she has a Spanish accent. When I first met her, I couldn't place her accent because she sounded French to me. So even though she's Spanish, she sounded French. And so I thought that was weird with her being in the dream. But even when I looked up her name meant pure. And so when I saw her, she was just looking like there was no battle, no nothing going on. She was coming up to me and smiling, and happy, just like nothing was going on. And so then the next thing that I see, that I remember, is that there is a group of men who is coming to try to attack me. And so what I noticed about was the group of men who came to attack me, they didn't look like me. But then from the right side, there was another group of men who came to protect me and defend me from these men who were coming to attack me. And those men didn't look like me either, okay? And what I mean when I say they didn't look like me is I didn't see anyone there who looked to be Black or African American or anything like that. I do remember seeing white men, like the men in the cabin were white. When we got to the battlefield, the men who tried to attack me were white. Now, I don't know if there was some other nationalities in there, but from what I could see, the ones that I could see, the ones who tried to attack me were white, and the ones who defended me were white. And the lady who I just got through talking about, she's white, because she's, if I'm not mistaken, she's from Spain. So after that took place, I was just standing there by myself, and it was almost like I was making like an announcement. And I said, anyone who fights for what's right is my brother. And then my mind thought about the lady who was there, who I know in real life. And then I changed it to anyone who fights for what's right is my brother or my sister. And it was almost like I was standing there making like a proclamation. And between the two groups of men, I can't tell who is who, because when I'm looking at this scene, like this commotion and stuff that's going on, right? Because I'm standing there by myself at this point. And so when I'm looking out at this scene, I'm not hearing any guns go off. I'm not seeing any explosions. It's almost like just shadowy. Like even the men who were coming to attack me, it was like they were kind of like shadowy and I could just see certain parts. And so in the background, when I'm looking at these people who are on this battleground, I'm just seeing like shadows just going back and forth and just, a whole bunch of commotion and things like that. But I'm not, hearing gunshots and explosions and people, dropping dead and things like that. I'm not seeing it. I'm just just seeing a lot of commotion. And so then all of a sudden, you know, I just get the feeling in my spirit, and things like in the scene just started to calm down, that the good guys won. Now, as I just told you, I don't know who that is, because I don't know who was fighting against who, because I didn't see any uniforms, I didn't see any flags, I didn't see any identifying anything about anybody, okay? And so I don't know what that means, but that's what just came up in my spirit, was the good guys won, okay? And I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I kind of figured out about this, or researched about this dream, and also just about some things that I've been seeing in general that kind of either tie back to this, or just it's just stuff that just keeps coming up and repeating for me. And so I went and did some research on Kurt Russell's name, and I'm probably going to a little bit later on try to see if I can look up that movie Big Trouble in Little China to see what it's about. I just haven't had a chance to do that. But his first name, Kurt, has German and Turkish origins. For the German origin, it means courteous or polite. It can also mean bold counselor, or like an advisor or something like that. For the Turkish origin, it means wolf. Okay, his last name Russell means little red. And the reason why that stuck out to me is because I keep being led to things that mean red, or red spots, or blood, or things like that. For instance, there's a place between Jerusalem and Jericho, and I believe it's pronounced Adumim, Adummim. And the word means red spots, and it's the plural form of Adam, with the word origin same as Adam. Okay, the Greek, that's the Hebrew. Okay, the Greek of that means to lose blood, or suffering from a hemorrhage. And just going back to the dream that I posted before this one about the courtyard being flooded, what was interesting to me after I posted that video, a couple days after, I kind of thought about it, and I was like, it was strange, because the old man in the car, you know, there was a total of 9 seats, but he was sitting in one of them, and he was trying to get people into the vehicle because the courtyard was getting ready to flood, so he was coming to try to get the people who were down in the courtyard out of there as fast as possible. And so there were a total of 9 seats, but he was sitting in one of them, so there was only 8 seats remaining. And so when I thought about that, that brought me back to the fact that in the story of Noah and the ark, only 8 people made it onto the ark. And so I wonder if that was a connection between the two, that there was someone sitting, the man who owned the vehicle, he wasn't sitting in the front behind the driver's seat, he was sitting in the back, kind of like limousine style, but there were a total of 9 seats. He was sitting in one, and then there were 8 seats that were empty that were left. Because I wasn't sitting down. I was just, again, I don't know if I actually got into the car, or if I was just in there to kind of look around and see what was going on. So yeah, I just wanted to include that in before I forget, in case anyone wants to go back and take a look at that dream. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this here, because I don't want this to get too long. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. I will be so happy to have you. You guys have a great day, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.